Now that you're retired, are you trying to think of ways to still feel productive and to maybe make a little extra cash? Well, in this video, I'm going to outline 10 side hustles that I think would be great for people over 50. And stay around to the end because I'll reveal the one that I think has the highest potential for the most reliable and steady income. Hi and welcome. I'm here to discuss the issues we share in our 50s and 60s. My name is Bob, and I'm the Crusty Creator. When I say side hustle, I'm not talking about those schemes where somebody promises that you can make tens of thousands of dollars a month if you buy their course or their book, and really they're the only people who are making money. No, I'm talking about flexible, low-stress gigs that'll keep you engaged, active, and productive while making you a little extra money. And if you want to put more time and effort in, they could easily earn you a whole lot more. But don't overdo it. We don't want anybody blowing a gasket. We are over 50 after all. The most profitable side hustles for people over 50 usually come from those things that we already know. Leverage our knowledge. They are not from learning something new and passing that knowledge on. And the most desirable side hustles of all allow flexible hours and require very little setup and startup investment. My first suggestion is to rent out space. Lots of us are empty nesters by the time we're 50, and we probably have a spare bedroom or a basement that we can convert into a money-making space, either as a mortgage helper or as a short-term rental. But before you do that, make sure you consult with your municipality, because many of them have safety and fire regulations around secondary suites. They also regulate how they need to have their HVAC installed and to operate. And they may have regulations about whether or not secondary suites are legal. There'll likely be insurance issues as well. So look into it before you think of it. If you're downsizing to a smaller place and you still own your home, or if you live somewhere else for half the year, say, you might want to consider turning your house into an Airbnb or a Vrbo. That'll make sure that the house isn't unoccupied while you're gone. So it would also give you a house sitter. Of course, you'd probably have to hire property management so that the light bulbs get changed and the lawn gets mowed and the place is inspected between each renter to make sure there's no damage. My second suggestion is selling online. It's often one of the simplest and quickest ways to make money, especially if you're selling locally. Since the pandemic, there's been enormous growth in online sales, and even your favorite local store probably has a web presence. Regular folks can sell their stuff on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Kijiji. There's all kinds of things like that. And if you're looking for a commercial solution, there's Etsy and Square and Shopify. Depending on what you need and the provider you choose, setting up an online store doesn't take much time, effort, or investment, and the costs can vary from absolutely free through a commission-based setup where they take a portion of your sales, or you can subscribe on them for a monthly fee. At any rate, people are really interested in things like handmade stuff, crafts, handmade jewelry. You can sell your art or your photography creations. You can sell thrift store finds, vintage clothing, collectibles, old toys in good shape, used antique or handmade furniture. Now, you probably have to sell those locally because it's pretty hard to FedEx a bookcase. If you're a fix-it kind of person, you can repair and resell things like electronics, tools, and kitchen appliances. Third solution, home and gardening services. Now, some of these jobs are really tiring and physically demanding, and not for the faint of heart in more ways than one. They require a lot of crouching, standing, and in some cases heavy lifting. So they'd be best suited for people who are healthy and physically able to do that kind of work. So I'm thinking about things like lawn mowing, snow removal, planting, pruning, yard cleanup, garage organization, home organization, house cleaning, minor home repairs, painting, maybe even furniture assembly for those people who can't follow their IKEA instructions. Here are a couple of easy ones. Pet and house sitting. People travel sometimes, and they need their houses and their pets looked after while they're gone. And in fact, having their house looked after might be a requirement on their homeowner's insurance. Pets need to be fed and have their exercise and affection, attention needs met. They need to have their elimination needs met. Cats, you can't just chuck a cat outside whether you give them food and water and a shelter. Yeah, they're pretty independent, but they're also small animals and they can fall prey to raptors like hawks and eagles. They can get into it with other animals. They can get hit by a car. There's poisons that people put out for pest control. And there are some seriously sick individuals that take pride in hurting people's pets. Dog walking is another idea. People lead busy lives, and sometimes they just don't have time to take Fido out for a walk. This is an ideal job for somebody who loves doggos and they want to get in their steps for the day. But don't overdo the number of animals you do at the same time, or you may find yourself getting dragged. Just warning you. In a lot of the research that I've done, I've seen driving jobs get suggested as a possible side hustle. But having done a few of them in my youth, I don't recommend them, especially for older folks trying to make a few extra bucks. Now, I'm not talking about long-haul trucking. That's hardly a side hustle. I'm talking about courier and delivery jobs and even driving taxi. They are high stress or long hours. They have very little pay, and you're often using and wearing out your own vehicle while bearing all the maintenance costs. And there's also a risk for being robbed if you're meant to carry cash. So I don't suggest it. Here are a couple if you're an artsy or creative type. Do you play an instrument? Perhaps performing for people in a seniors center would be an idea. It's low stress. It requires low financial investment. Performers are always appreciated in those places, and you get to feel good about brightening the day for folks who likely don't get out much. This next one is not so easy. And in order to make a real go of it, requires consistency and a dedication to improve. But in doing it, you will change your life in many ways, and they're not just financial. You will learn a lot about yourself, and you'll learn new skills. A YouTube channel or a blog allows you to share knowledge and hobbies, your travel, your retirement life, and create a community that could potentially, eventually, once you meet the requirements, earn ad revenue or sponsorship income. You don't have to be an expert. You just need to know more than the people you're coaching. There's online tutoring and teaching. Over our working lives, we develop knowledge, skills, and methods that are valuable, and many of them are still relevant in the modern world. People can earn a bit of extra cash teaching both academic and artistic subjects. So bear that in mind. You can look at teaching math, science, languages, music, sewing, crafting, computer basics. How many seniors really know how to use their Mac or their Windows computer or even their cell phone? Lots of my musical friends give instrument lessons at local music stores. Some people tutor academic subjects at third-party education centers like a Sylvan Place. Others teach from their homes. Many municipalities have opportunities through their Parks and Recreation organization for folks willing to teach short-term classes in just about anything. Check with your municipality. There might be a spot for you. As an alternative, teaching online, either one-on-one or in a group situation, has the potential to reach a much wider audience than in-person lessons do. And if you charge the same tuition, or maybe even less, slightly, as you do for in-person lessons, there's a potential for higher earnings. Bear that in mind. And finally, drum roll please, the 10th idea, the one I think has the highest potential. A freelance professional contractor. No, that's not a job title. That's an umbrella. Again, we have the opportunity to leverage the knowledge and expertise that we've gained through experience and turn that into an outside contractor kind of business. Many companies require these services, but may not have the budget for a full-time position. especially at the salary that these skills command in the open marketplace. As an outside contractor, you actually have a win-win scenario. The companies require these services, and they can pay for them either hourly or by the job, depending on how you set up your rate schedule. And because you're independent, you get to do those things for other companies as well, multiplying your income. Now, of course, you want to respect the confidentiality of each of your clients, and that should be a given, but I'm going to say it. But you could earn far more than you would working for one employer full time. And maybe you can even set your own hours doing it. There's another plus. So what areas am I talking about? I'm just going to read that off of a list, if you don't mind. There's bookkeeping, marketing, project management, IT support and remote management, human resources. There's virtual assistant and secretarial services, transcription services, data entry. And here's one that occurred to me, although it's not an official thing, but it should be. A travel coordinator. Now, old school travel agents are pretty much a thing of the past. You don't see Thomas Cook or flight centers in every mall anymore. But business people still travel and still need somebody to take care of the details. So you wouldn't actually be selling the products like the travel agent would, but you'd be coordinating them and setting their itineraries, making sure their hotels and cars are booked. Then they can focus on their real job, right? So you can charge for that. So that's my list. These jobs can be as busy and immersive as you want them to be, or they can be quiet and unassuming. If you have more ideas, let me know in the comments down below. But as always, keep it civil and respectful, please. And if you like my content, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Maybe even ring the little bell if you'd like to know when I release my next video. There's also a link to buy me a coffee down below if you feel so inclined. And thanks for watching. See you soon.